I'm going to show you how you can make your photos stand out from the crowd using the principles of minimalism in your compositions for landscape photography. Hi, my name is Tim Shields. I'm a full-time professional landscape photographer. Once a week, I hold a photo challenge for the members of my Tim's Photos Academy Facebook group. This week, the challenge was for minimalist photo compositions. What is a minimalist photo? A minimalist photo is an image where there is only one main subject inside the overall composition. Why are minimalist photos important? Well, you will find that more often than not, minimalist photos win photo competitions. This is because the eye is drawn to that one subject inside the frame. And usually that one subject pops. It stands out from the rest of the composition. Minimalist photos often use negative space inside the photo, which means there will be a portion of the image that doesn't have anything overly interesting inside it, but that just draws the eye towards the main subject of the photo. Photography is a lot like storytelling. In every good story, there is a hero. Oftentimes, there is a hero that wants to be seen by everybody, but sometimes there is a hero that doesn't want to be seen. And the same thing applies in photography. You can stand in front of a huge mountain that has the sun hitting the top. It's big, it's majestic. That's the obvious hero. But then you might look down at your feet and then you see a small little alpine flower, red in color, that's growing out of a tiny crack in the rock. And that's the hero that doesn't want to be seen. That's the hero you have to look for, you have to find in your photography adventure. Sometimes it's those little heroes, the ones that don't want to be found, the ones that are the hardest to find, that actually make the best photos. And oftentimes it creates a beautiful minimalist photo. So now I'm going to show you the top 10 photos that were submitted for this minimalist photo challenge this week. And then I'm going to show you the winning photo. And I hope that through my critique of these 10 photos, you are going to be able to learn the important principles of minimalist landscape photography, and you will be able to use them to make your photos even better than they already are. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's jump in. This first one is from Nelson Rudy Ak, and you can see why Nelson has already won 2 previous photo challenges in our Facebook group. This is a gorgeous photo. It's a flawless photo. There is no constructive criticism that I can provide for this photo. I love the texture of it. I love the colors. The colors are all complementary, and if you notice that the colors of the leaf, they're actually moving from the browns more into the orange and the yellow, so it makes the leaf stand out even more in comparison to the brown bark of the tree. I really, really like this photo. It's not my usual style. My usual style is to get the whole vista, get the whole mountain with the valleys and the lakes and the rivers, but this is a different type of storytelling in this photo, and it's that reluctant hero. He found the reluctant hero and he told this story beautifully. Well done, Nelson. This is a classic minimalist photo taken by Steve Reynolds. This is all the colors of cold, the blues and the white. It conveys that cold, cold winter's day. Probably early in the morning. You look at the mist, the fog that's on the horizon line, and it's interesting as well that he put the horizon line down on the bottom third of the photo instead of on the top third of the photo, which creates negative space up here, which is okay. It's good to have negative space in a photo because it pulls your eye down to that lone tree. Now you could also ask, why not have the tree closer towards the camera so the tree is larger? And I would say no, this is perfect as it is right now because, let's face it, it's not a beautiful tree. It's a busy type of tree, so it wouldn't be nice to look at if the tree was front and center and larger in the photo. So I think that it's great the way that he composed this image with putting the tree on a 1/3 line, vertical third line and a horizontal third line, and he kept the tree back. Really nice colors. It's interesting that he decided to bring the sky all the way into essentially a black. It wouldn't have been my first choice, but it actually works really well in the image. If you look at the gradient here, starting from black, moving into navy blue, then to sky blue, then really light blue, and finally to white. So from white all the way to black in one smooth gradient. As well, there's texture in the snow. I think this is a really beautiful photo, so well done, Steve, on this one. And from Norway, Åsa Solvi has submitted this one. This is just classic Norway to me. I showed this one to my mother tonight, and she took one look at it and said, oh, it looks like Norway. And sure enough, it is. Beautiful texture in the snow here, which adds to the photo. And then notice that there is no texture here, which is that negative space again, which pulls your eye into the one most contrasty portion of the image, which are the two skiers that kind of are close enough together that they are one subject. We also have a curved leading line that points in the direction of the two skiers. This is a simple photo. There's not a lot going on with it, but that's what minimalism is, and that's why, in general, we tend to be drawn to these minimalist photos because there is one thing that we are looking at. There's one subject. They're not busy. They're not confusing. Our eye isn't roaming to the left and to the right all over the image, but rather the one subject which pulls in the eye tells the story of a lonely, deserted landscape with two skiers out in the middle of nowhere. Well done, Åsa. This one from Tim Poitevin. Wow, talk about a gorgeous photo. I really like this photo. Interesting that we have a tree on essentially the right 1/3 line, and the sun isn't quite on the left 1/3 line. It would probably need to be about here if it was on the 3rd line. And this one could probably be cropped off, probably right where I'm moving my cursor here. It could be cropped off so that there's an equal distance between the sun and the left edge and between the tree trunk and the right edge. And it would provide some balance and symmetry to the image. What I love about this photo is, first off, the rays of sun, the God rays as we call them in photography, that are going both vertically up and vertically down across the image. Texture in the field, and only one single subject, which is this tree with no leaves on it. It gives that appearance of wintertime. And notice as well that there's nothing else in the horizon that the tree is intersecting with. So the field itself is the horizon. If there had been a mountain halfway up the tree and the tree was poking through that horizon line, it wouldn't look as good as it does. Got great color in the sky, great texture in the cloud. Notice as well that really nothing is blown out in the sky, so Tim has exposed for the highlights. The only blown out highlights are right where the sun is, and that's where highlights should be blown out. It's expected, but there's all this detail still in the sky, which just highlights the importance of looking at your histogram after you take the photo to make sure that it's not crammed over onto the right-hand side of the histogram. It's so essential in landscape photography. It's practically as important as the composition, but this is a beauty, and I really like it. Tim, you should be framing this and putting it on the wall, but I do think you should crop off this portion here, but well done. This is from Bjorn Carlson, and I showed this one to my wife who grew up in Denmark, and she took one look at this and said, oh, this is from Denmark in Jylland. It's at the very top of Jutland where two oceans meet. And this church here is apparently filled with sand. I love the contrast of the beautiful blues in the sky combined with the yellows of the sand. And of course, yellow and blue are complementary colors. Just ask the Swedes because they made their national flag blue and yellow. I also like the fact that this is a bright white church and it just stands out. It pops and it draws the eye to it. Now, I do have this to say. We know about the rule of thirds, and that the rule of thirds would say, oh, the church should go right here. But the rule of thirds is also a rule that is made to be broken. It's not a hard and fast rule for landscape photography. And in fact, Some of the best and most popular landscape photography photos are breaking the rule of thirds. So the rule of thirds does not have to be adhered to. But I will say that I think that the church is a little too close to the edge, because this is the focal point of the entire image, and it pulls the eye off the image and out into the white space. I think that the photo would look better if it was pulled a little more to the left, but I do love the image. I love also the texture of the sand with the footprints on it, and just the simplicity of it is what is so intriguing. There's nothing else to look at aside from the sky, the sand, and the white church. It's a beautiful photo. I say, well done, Bjorn. This one from Wendy Klein, and Wendy has produced some really stunning photos in our Facebook group, and this is one of them. I think this is an absolutely gorgeous photo. It was most definitely a contender for being the winning photo. If you just look at the color and the texture in the sky and this perfect reflection, I don't know if Wendy extended her shutter speed to get such smooth water, or if the water just was that smooth. Beautiful horizon line in the middle of the photo, which works perfectly because you have balance and symmetry from the reflections vertically. I will say one thing about this photo, and that is that although the trees could be said to assist with the storytelling, and there is some framing going on here too, there's some foliage here and here and here, so the chair is framed in top to bottom. But this is, in this particular photo challenge, it's a minimalist photo challenge, and there's some busyness going on with the tree branches. For a minimalist photo challenge, I think that this would have been a winner if it did not have the tree, especially the one over the top here, because it just pulls the eye up. Also, there's some imbalance with it left to right, because if we think of balance in lighting, top to bottom and left to right, there is more that is pulling the eye to the left side of the scene than to the right side of the scene. And if there was something here that would balance out the weight of the image, it would probably have contributed to it. But I would have liked to have seen this one with no trees in it. However, Wendy, this is an absolutely beautiful photo. I love it, and I say well done to you. This next one is from Stan Wasielewski. This is what I call minimalist because there is no main subject, but I will say there is actually a main subject, and the main subject is the sunset. And it's this beautiful red and yellow orange light that's coming up over top of the horizon. It's a beautiful photo. This is a great piece of artwork. I think that, Stan, you should be printing it large depending on what camera you took it with, and you should be putting this up on the wall at home, or also trying to sell this. It's a beautiful photo, and what is nice about it is that this now goes into the realm of an abstract type of landscape photo, because it isn't a photo of a hard object. It's colors, it's design, it's shapes. This is what art is all about. Well done, Stan. This one is from Jan Galland. And I wish it was a bigger photo because it doesn't fill my screen. We should be at least uploading 1,600 pixels, maybe even 2,000 pixels if we can, into the Facebook group just for this purpose. This is a beautifully simple minimalist photo. I also like the fact, Jan, that you converted this to black and white. It makes your main subject, the horse, pop even more because it's a black and white image. You've got a white sky, and the foreground is mostly white, and then this black subject right here with white highlights. You've put the horse on the left third and intersecting with the top third. So beautiful adherence to the rule of thirds, and I think that this really works for this image. If I was a horse lover, I would be printing this one and putting this on the wall, and I'm not an absolute horse lover, and I still really like this photo. So well done, Jan. This is the surprise of this photo challenge. This one is from Leif Ingevald Skog, and this is so creative. This is the bark boat. So this is a piece of bark, and I'm guessing that Leif stuck this little tree branch into the piece of bark, and then found this green leaf of a tree or a plant and made a sail with it. So he made this sailboat. This is not my typical landscape image. This is way out of my style, but I really appreciate it because of the creativity of it and the simplicity of it. And just because I love those big mountain, valley, river, ocean type of shots, or the big cityscape. It doesn't mean that we can't focus in and even create some art. I love the simplicity of this and the fact that everything is blue. There's no definition anywhere in the water except for the bark boat. And then he introduced this other color here, the green. It's a beautiful image. I really like it. So well done, Leaf. Just incredibly creative. And this one is from David Hebert. I'm not sure where this, the Tobacco Root Mountains, and I don't know where that is. I'm just kind of thinking Wyoming. I'm probably wrong, but wow. Absolutely beautiful image once again. He put the farmhouse on the left third, just a little bit below the center line. It is a very beautiful image. If it was to be truly, truly minimalist, then, and I'm really kind of going out on a limb here because I don't know what the shooting setup was for David, but if there was a place where he could have maybe walked down this hill and shot back up in this direction so that there were no mountains on the horizon line, but that the horizon was only this yellow grassy field contrasting against the blue sky. That would have made it even more special. Having said that, this is a beautiful photo and I like it very, very much. So well done, David. And now for the winning photo for the Minimalist Photo Challenge. This was a tough call on this particular photo challenge, but there definitely was a winner, and this one goes to Didar Manku. And I think Didar may be from Australia. Didar, you need to let us know. But this is a beautiful photo that he took in Australia. Perfect reflections, blue hour light after the sun has gone down, completely clear, still water, so there's nothing that is distracting for us, and our eye is drawn to this tree which is coming out of the lake. I would say that the tree is somewhat balanced because you've got something to look at on the left side of the image, and then it's balanced with this brighter light on the horizon line on the right side of the image. I think, Didar, you probably could improve this photo by pulling some more of the blue out of the sky and in the reflection, maybe a little bit more saturated blue, but this is the way that you chose to edit the photo. This is your art, and I very much appreciate this. This is a beautiful piece of artwork. To me, it has a calmness, a stillness, a sense of serenity, of peace and beauty, and it is a well-deserved win, Didar. So Didar wins my full signature landscape profiles collection. This is a plugin into Adobe Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop, and it contains 200 different profiles, which are very similar to presets, and it can help you to edit your photos faster and easier than before. So now here's the big question. What is the next photo challenge going to be? What's the main subject? Well, it is going to be golden hour light. I have found that my photos that have golden hour light are the best sellers that I have. If you take a look at this one example from Mount Assiniboine, this one is selling on a website called vastphotos.com. I was selected as one of only 10 photographers to sell my work on this website, and this photo here is selling well. It starts at $1,300 and goes up to over $4,000 for this one image. Now granted, this image is a very high resolution double row panorama, but it is because of the golden hour light that I believe that this photo sells so well. What is the golden hour? The golden hour is that time of the day just before the sun sets, when the sun is very close to the horizon, and it creates a beautiful yellow orangey light across the landscape. This is the light that you want in your landscape photos. Now, after the golden hour, and by the way, golden hour doesn't last for an hour. Sometimes it only lasts for seconds. If there's like a hole in the cloud and the clouds part, the sun goes through and then the clouds close back up again. If you find golden hour light, you need to be snapping your photos while you have that light. After the sun goes down, that's the blue hour light, which also makes for very beautiful photos, but in a different type of way. You're not going to get those really warm colors on the mountaintops and across the landscapes. Here's another photo that I took in Death Valley, California, and this is golden hour light just after the sun rose early in the morning. Look at the yellows and the oranges that are on top of those sand dunes. And here's another one from the Grand Canyon that I shot earlier this spring. Again, golden hour light. This is an HDR photo, and these three photos that I've just shown you all just won awards of distinction with the Masters Photography International organization. So I'm very happy about these photos, but I believe that the reason that they have done so well and been recognized is because they have golden hour light. I believe that golden hour light creates usually the best, most stunning landscape photos, second only to the blue hour light. So please submit your photos this week. If you have not already done this, join my Facebook group, the Tim's Photos Academy, and submit your photos there. And if you like this type of video where you learn about landscape photography, and if this video was of value to you, then I would ask that you hit the red subscribe button on this YouTube channel and hit the little bell beside it, and that way you will be notified about all of my videos. Now here is the question of the day. What do you think is the best type of light for landscape photos? Is it golden hour light? Is it blue hour light? Is it astrophotography at nighttime or midday? What do you think is the best type of light, and how do you go about getting that type of lighting for your photography? Thanks so much. I will see you in the next video.